Greetings and welcome back to Betwixt the Books. Cheeky extra video this month because we wanted to separate out our new 2026 buddy reading challenges, which is this video from our wrap up, which was our video last week. So if you didn't see that, go watch that. Hear us talk about all of the challenges we did last year and how well we did and how good we are at doing things, unlike every other year previously. This is a thing, if you have never seen one of these videos before, every year Gretchen and I create a buddy reading challenge for ourselves where we pick 10-ish prompts where we try and push ourselves for reading outside of our natural reading range. We are here to announce all of those challenges for 2026 today. So yeah, sit tight, enjoy, get a hot beverage if you don't have one, and listen to us unveil all of the challenges that will be guiding our reading for the next year.
Now, if you already watched that other video where we went over other challenges, crazy we're wearing the same clothes 2 weeks in a row. Weird how that happened. Anyway, normally when we don't complete a challenge, we roll it over. We had no rollover this year, but we did kind of keep around one of our perennial favorites, if you will, because it allows us to just kind of have like an open one kind of sitting there to help us feel accomplished. And that is to read and review an arc on time. An arc, if you don't know, is an advanced reader copy, which we get through this site Edelweiss. And the on time bit in some years, many years, has sometimes been a struggle for us. Now, I mean, as long as you're reviewing the book ish around the release date, then, we're still kind of fulfilling it. But they are meant to, give hype to a book before it is released, or at least like directly around its release date. So this is our goal, to just keep doing justice to the arcs these publishers are kind enough to give us. It can be anything. Although usually it does end up being a Katie Roberts book. However, this year, that may not be the case because she doesn't have one coming out early this year.
Ooh.
Panic.
What will it be?
What will it be? We actually don't know. We don't know. So you'll find out when we do, as long as we, complete it.
That's always the goal. I think we can do it. Okay, the next challenge is our sort of like annual monthly history month challenge. This year we would like to celebrate Women in Translation Month. So if you did not know, August is Women in Translation Month. It's a pretty open-ended challenge just to read a book that was written by a woman that was translated into English. So yeah, every August that sort of challenge exists, that history month exists to talk about and celebrate the people who are not writing in English, the women who are not writing in English all around the world, and try and promote a little bit of that. If you haven't seen the news about how they're trying to move some translation into AI, it's definitely something that we want to promote this year as to the people who are behind that, because translation isn't something a machine can do. It's something I care very much about, and I love to talk about why you can't just one-for-one replace words from a dictionary. It doesn't work. It's not going to create a good product. So to fight that, we're here to talk about translation and the people who do it.
And again, if you watched that video from last week, you've already heard about this, but Michaela had an excellent examination of the style of translation, shall we say, in the translated book that just happened to be by a woman that we read last year as well. It was just really fascinating to hear, Michaela talk about this and learn from her about this. So if this is something that you're interested in, you can learn about that from Michaela right now by going back and watching that video. So our third prompt is to read a speculative book from a non-white perspective. In 2025, my goal was to read or return to reading more fantasy. I didn't really get there. And so one of the things that I came to Michaela and I said, I definitely want to put like speculative fiction on here in some way. And one of the things that we always try to read diversely there's so much good, diverse speculative fiction that has come out that we have both wanted to read. There's great stuff that's going to come out, I'm sure, that we don't even know that we're going to be interested in yet. And so we kind of left it open ended. Again, speculative fiction. So, in case we want to go fantasy, sci fi, something in between, genre bending. And then again, just from a non white perspective, because there's just too much to choose from. There's so many books. We could have, we could read these books for years and not read all the ones that we want to read. So I'm really excited about this too. Again, always good to push to read diversely, but again, I'm also just so desperate to get back into reading speculative fiction. So I'm really excited about this one.
Okay, the next challenge is to read a romance with a heroine over 30. We read a lot of romance on the channel. Gretchen does, reviews them all the time. Not surprisingly, I feel like in recent years there has been a huge focus on like new adult romances, so a lot of like late teens to early 20s, mid 20s. That's just sort of the bread and butter of the genre right now. We are old. And sometimes reading books about people falling in love for the first time, it's just not my favorite thing. So I had suggested reading a book with somebody over 30, and Gretchen suggested making that our romance pick for the year. So we would like to read a romance with a heroine over 30. We did actually do that last year with a T. Kingfisher book, which may have a new one coming out this year, although I don't know if it counts for this one because I think the one that comes out this year might be queer, but you never know.
Also, I mean, the person has been in a sword for thousands of years, so they're definitely over 30.
They're over 30.
I don't think that's the spirit of the challenge, but it counts.
I mean, yeah, who knows? It might not be that one, it might be something else. They definitely exist out there. So yeah, that's part of our challenge is to remember that women do exist after the age of 30 and that they too can find love. They aren't just like crones that wither and die alone. So that's our next challenge.
Oh, prompt number 5. This is our redemption prompt. So last year we gave ourselves a very open-ended prompt to read a feminist text, and we ended up with a supposedly feminist retelling of the Bluebeard myth that was not good and was very violent against women. But we were really fascinated by this idea. It actually turns out there's another like Bluebeard retelling that's coming out. That Katie Roberts is involved with actually. So like there are certainly other avenues for picking apart like some of these myths that are very anti-feminist, anti-women. And so we want to try again to read this more specifically this time a feminist retelling. We would love to see someone take, these tropes and turn them on a head in a successful way. Will this be what happens? We don't know, but we were really intrigued and we loved the discussion that came along with Sour Cherry last year. But we want better, and we shall seek to find.
The next challenge is one that's near and dear to my heart, and that is just to read some fan fiction. We haven't 100% nailed down exactly what we want to do here. I think what we may end up doing is like reading something and then reading fan fiction based on that thing. That isn't 100% nailed down. We might do something different with that, so we just made the prompt read some fan fiction in some way. If you didn't know, most of my reading for the last couple of years has been fan fiction, even though I don't talk about it a super lot on the channel. It's a little bit difficult of a topic to talk about because you can't review fan fiction in the same way that you do with a book that is published and marketed and has money behind it. Fan fiction is a free, like, made for the love of the game thing that people who like really care about characters and storytelling do for each other. So we would really only want to do this if we were recommending something and gushing about something. We're not going to be reviewing it in the same way that we would a book. I don't want people to think that's what's going to happen. I don't want to have people doing that in the comments or anywhere else. I don't want to promote that. So this isn't going to be a critical review type content, but it's just something that we wanted to do because Gretchen has not really read fan fiction before. So it will be fun for me to sort of introduce her to it and see if she likes it and finds a niche that she enjoys. We made a joke about her reading some George Washington and Alexander Hamilton fanfiction just to be inside of her interests, but we don't know what that's going to be yet. It's just something to try and do that might be a little bit easier and lighthearted. So have a look out for that. We're going to try and read some fanfiction this.
So number 7 is again something that I like to read, and Michaela likes to read more of. So glad to have that represented here. So our nonfiction pick this year is to read a nonfiction book about activism. There's been a lot of interesting titles coming out recently. Either about like how to do activism in this time that we're in where everything just seems really exhausting and defeating, some of that coming through like kind of like how to books, some of that coming through history of activist movements, some of which I've read. But it's just there's just like a lot going on in this area that could be really interesting about like certain types of activists or activists working together. We don't really know again what we're going to pick for this, but there's so much interesting stuff being published on this, and it's a really important topic for our time. So I'm really excited to be putting this as a definitely will do on our list, because we're obviously going to complete all 10 challenges again, obviously.
Uh,
Um, as a way to, and again, we didn't even specify activists in the United States, right? So maybe learning about global activism or another country. We don't know yet. So if you've any recommendations for this or anything, definitely leave those down below. But I'm really excited for this, and I can't wait to see where we take it.
the next challenge is to read a sapphic western. Traditionally, we do a queer romance, so this time we decided to do a different genre. It might still have romance involved because a good amount of there's been a rise in western romances actually, I feel like in the
Yeah,
last year or so. They are traditionally very hetero or um romances because of the whole cowboy thing. But we specifically wanted to look into some sapphic westerns, and there's a surprising amount of those in a couple different genres, romance fiction, just a couple different places that it could be. So we don't know exactly what we're going to pick for this, where we're gonna go for that. But yeah, we're gonna do something fun and try a western, which is not, I think, a genre that either of us read very much of at all.
no.
So just have some fun, do something different, push ourselves, and read a different genre than we normally do. And yeah, I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be a good time.
Yeah, not all of these prompts are meant to like expand the brain, right? This was a prompt that literally came from a joke
Yeah,
because we were like, how many of these can there really be? And then we started looking up some books and we were like, wait, I want to read all of
yeah, they
these.
sound great.
um so yeah, we're really excited about this one again to just like have a good time. Challenge 9 kind of redoes but adds to something that we did last year that again feels very important to us, and that is to read and support banned or challenged books in this time that we're living in where there are so many books getting banned and challenged. This year we are adding the caveat that it needs to be a graphic novel. We did not have any kind of a graphic novel slash manga slash comics, like any of that on our challenge last year. I actually read one of my own volition, which was odd, but they are something that I don't read naturally, and Michaela probably enjoys more than I do, but we just haven't like prioritized. And unfortunately, with the rise of graphic novels have come the rise of banning and challenging. So we are very excited to again intentionally add a graphic novel that also will continue to like support and advocate um, about banned and challenged books.
The last main challenge before we get to our bonus challenges is to read a second chance book. We haven't done this in a couple years, but it is a challenge that we've done previously. The idea of this challenge is to either give an author or a series a second chance when we didn't 100% love it, but we sort of saw potential in whatever it was that we read from them. So in the past we've done like a romance series by Katie Robert that we didn't particularly love the first book, but we tried the second book because we felt the world was interesting, and maybe it was just a fluke that that one didn't work. We've also just done an author that we read one book and we were like, we can see what you were trying to do, but this book wasn't 100% great. And then enjoyed the second one much more than the first one. So it's just a pretty open-ended challenge to anything that we've read previously that we had like middling to like mildly negative feelings about, to check back in and see if those authors have improved over time. I think it's something that we both agree that not every book works, even if it's an author that you love, and that if you reading one book from an author you've never read before and you can see the potential in them, it's nice to check back in a couple years later and see if that potential has been realized at this point. So pretty easy, open-ended challenge.
So again, we have 10 main challenges. Those are the main goal. And last year, again, actually completed not only our 10 challenges plus our bonus challenge. So this year were like, instead of just being like, 10 challenges is probably like a good limit for us, we were like, no, we do more bonuses too, because we learn nothing. However, I'm really stoked for how we're doing our bonus challenge this year. So at this point, we have done a couple of years of, which is crazy, reading roundtables. And we have guests come on and they bring these incredible books. And a lot of times we haven't read them, or maybe every once in a while one of us has, or we know the author or whatever, but like, they bring these books and they talk about them, we're like, oh, I want to read that. But much like going back for a second chance author, it's something that you say and then you never really do, right? Because like a new book comes along, we have a challenge to fulfill, like, so what we did was we went back through every single reading roundtable that we have thus far filmed, and we made a list of all of the books that our participants have brought. Then what we did from there is we each picked our own list of books that we would wanted to read. And I know even just in doing this, I was like, oh my gosh, that's right, that one, because some of these were a long time ago now. And we have created for each of us a reading bracket, by which we mean we will put, we have 8 books. They'll start off, two, two. And as our reading roundtables happen over the course of 2026, we are going to ask the participants of those reading roundtables to vote on one set of brackets. And so they will look at this battle royale we've done with these 2 books, and vote, come up collectively with their vote on which one should move forward. And so by mid-year-ish, because there are some months that don't end up having a reading roundtable for scheduling purposes or whatever, we should end up having one book that each of us has been voted on by our reading roundtable participants, that we will read, and be able to share with you guys not only the reading roundtable it came from, what that participant thought, but also now our thoughts as well. And so we're really excited to start this. Again, this is something brand new. Hopefully it goes off kind of as I'm describing it. But yeah, I'm really excited. Like I said, I wish we could read all the books that we want to read, but this seemed like a fun way to honor the participants who have come and shared books, make it interactive, and get to read at least one of them. So yeah, really, really stoked for this, and hopefully giving ourselves enough time to complete the challenge once the book is picked.
Okay, I hope that you guys enjoyed. Again, if you didn't see last week, we did our wrap up for last year's challenges. If you want to see all the challenges we did and all the videos and books we read for that, please go and watch that. And then, yeah, hopefully you can join us. I will link a Storygraph challenge down in the links below. So if you're on Storygraph and you want to join us for this challenge, please do. It's open to the public. You can join us, or you can join it just so that you can keep an eye on things that we might be planning to read, because periodically we'll like plunk things in there. And you might get a sneak peek on the reviews that will be coming up for the channel. I hope everybody has a very good and exciting 2026. I hope that your reading this year is going to be great. We will be back again in 2 weeks to our reading roundtable for the first of the year. This first one is going to be themed. We're going to be talking about a book that we wish we read last year. So keep an eye out for that, and we will see you then. Bye.